Welcome all. This is the third day of the Aranya Saptah or the VanMahotsav week, and we are discussing here a topic which is very relevant to all of us, which is food and how we grow food and what is the best possible food we can have on our plate. This concerns us everyone. I am happy to welcome today Nirmalya Ghosh, who has come forward, and he is the chief executive of the TONA Organic Farm, which is an integrated farm in the outskirts of Kolkata. Nirmalya has been a very long exposure in corporate world. Almost 22 years he spent in Cognizant in various IT and consulting roles, having a very engineering background and domain of science and technology. He has moved his career, decided to move his career for a greener future and ensuring food safety and proper food for us as citizens. And he caters to the whole of Kolkata who are looking forward to having organic, safe food. And he is connected to the network of organic growers and producers and in all sorts of food pyramid, like the cereals, the vegetables, everything he grows in his farm. And his farm is a permaculture based integrated farm where he has incorporated animal husbandry and all. Now this the question of food, why we discuss food on the VanMahotsav week, because let us go a little bit into the background of food. When we were living in this planet as hunter gatherers long time ago, we used to hunt in the forest, we used to forage the food. Women used to go and collect the eggs from nests of birds, and men used to go hunting. That time the forest used to give us all the food nourishment that we needed. Gradually, some intelligent unknown people, they domesticated crops. They domesticated cereals. From the grasses came the domesticated versions of rice, wheat, barley, oats, and various vegetables like wild form of brinjal, wild form of tomato, everything exists. But because of the ingenuity of these farmer scientists who had anonymously worked towards the progress of the domestication of food and animals also at the same time. So out of the wild varieties of animals, dog, cattle, goat, everything got domesticated and they become part of the human agriculture. So that is how the advancement of food came into our lives, and our population grew in size. From tribes, we became small settlements across various parts of the world. We learned that if we clear the forest and raise our crops on land, we can produce more cereals because we have learned how to deal with them. This was going so far through the Middle Ages. Then came the industrial civilization when we discovered engine, the steam engine, and people came to move from one place to another, and that gave them the impetus to settle down in city, which is became the business centers, and people learned trading. What used to be barter system before in a small village where the economics was going in barter system. The weavers gave their cloth to the farmer gave their grains, and that is how it revolved. And every community in the village was integrated by this barter system. But when the cities developed, then there became, and with the help of the steam engine and various modes of transport, food started to move from villages to the cities, and cities became the consumer hub and the villagers became the producers. This was going on for some time, and gradually cities became very dirty, polluted with human waste, and the toilet revolution came. When toilet revolution came, people thought that it is not good to go out and uh, excrete on the fields because it is not civilized. People started thinking civilization means cutting down a forest, making wood and construct buildings, and going to toilets. That is how the land became devoid of the mineral that was coming to the food, and it was not going back to the soil again in the villages. So that is how a divide became. The land in the villages became depleted of their nutrients, and people in the living in the cities, they were profiting by selling the produce of the villages. It went on for some time, and we completely forgot that we were actually people who came out of forests, and forests are the true providers of soil fertility, water, cleaning the air, cleaning the water underground. Everything was a gift of the forest. The human civilization is a gift of the forest. And in the 20th century, after the two world wars, when the war had stopped, the industrial civilization was at its peak, and they wanted to create more food by use of chemicals like urea, fertilizers. So they thought that unless they grow more food, they cannot feed the human population. So came the advent of the days when chemical fertilizers and urea and pesticides started to get used in the natural way of farming. Till that time, everything was natural, in the sense the the crop used to be grown from animal waste and vegetable waste, leaf litter, everything. But gradually it became the chemical which was harboring more and more crop, and there was two green revolutions in India, which was the introduction due to the introduction of urea in the 70s. We initially thought that the Green Revolution was successful until we discovered that we have actually harbored more diseases, and the soil gradually lost all the microbiome which was present. The water, the microbiome, the moisture, everything was gone from the fields. Along with that also went the underground water. So because in India we mainly cultivate using the underground water. So the re organification, or do you call the eco-friendliness of the growing of food, started to be thought, and the permaculture movement began when people thought that unless we look after the land as an integrated whole, where forest is the keeper of the soil, and it gives home to all the birds, animals, insects, which are part of the food chain of the food that we also eat, and we are also part of the ecosystem. The food cannot be grown for long time, and the land will become desertified, arid, and unfit for growing food. So that is how the integrated farming came into picture all over again in this new century, when there are so many people who are thinking that we cannot grow food as a do you know her? Okay, so we cannot grow food as a for the sustainable for sustainably we cannot grow food. So then the idea of integrated farming started to come up and all over again, and forests and land and water bodies, and how we sustainably build our homes became very relevant. It's okay, it's okay. So, when we are currently looking for food, we in the urban settlements have completely forgotten that food comes from farm and the farmlands depend on forests to remain fertile. We only remember the market, we only remember our shopping malls where food comes with lot of adulteration of preservatives and pesticides and fertilizers. So it is, as parents, it is our duty to show our children how food is grown, what is the best way to protect the nutrients in the food, why we should buy food from local markets and not from far-fetched place where food comes laden with preservatives in packets, and why we should always prefer native variety of food, not the off season type, not the exotic type, because the land gives its own flavors of fruits and vegetables and brings its own nutrients. So to protect the land, to protect our food systems, we need to learn, every one of us, how to grow our own food, because this is the only way we can ensure our survival in future. So I want to ask Nirmalya to share a few details how he operates his farm, and this is going to give us a clear insight how food systems can be very sustainable in cities. If you want to share, Nirmalya, please you share your farm. You are on mute.
Let me. Am I audible now?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Antara. It's a nice. I mean,
the topic being
story. I mean, the way you have presented the whole, the history, the journey of, and the evolution, and how the food, as the center of this whole discussion, has taken the place today. And of course, yes, it has created a lot of concerns amongst us, and that is probably asking us to look back and follow some of the good old best practices in our living, in our lifestyle. Because we have seen the flip side of the evolution, flip side of the technological progress. In the name of modernization, what has happened is not good in all aspects. Of course, there are certain, interesting changes which we see in our daily living, which has created a lot of comfort, a lot of scientific and technological evolutions has changed our, in terms of convenience, in terms of comfort, in terms of medical,
emergency management.
So, of course, it has impacted life in a great way, but all are not good. Okay, so few things I think in your from your discussion, few important points came out, and we can look at some aspects quite critically. What went wrong in this whole evolution process? I'll request you to think of the situation when Second World War just completed. Hmm. We have seen a great extent of scientific research and exploration, technological, I mean, uh, changes happened during this time. Scientists from all over the world was invited in US, busy in experimenting, creating war technologies, etc., etc. So in that time, many organizations and industry was created, and that was a time of chemical revolution. As an explosive uh, uh, to the whole war situations. Uh, any issue? I think your
Yeah, there
face
was
is becoming
a power
face is
cut,
becoming distorted.
there is a power cut actually.
Okay.
No problem. We can.
Okay. You can see me in this whole picture, right? I can see in a very small window.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the generator to come back. Yeah. No.
Okay. Okay. Am I visible to the on the screen?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. 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 So think of the time when World War is stopped. There are many organizations and industry was created which were quite busy in preparing explosives. So ammonium nitrate was one important uh, item which was produced in a huge extent. All were not used in during this World War II, and then there was a huge uh, volume of that product was there. Then scientists were asked to think of situations where this kind of chemical, uh, I mean, product can be reused, and then the industry can take a different shape altogether, because war will not, I mean, be continued for a long time. That was a scenario when World War II was created, and it will not be. There won't be another World War in a very, I mean, few years or so. So then industry needs to take a new shape with some small changes into this whole formulation. Urea was produced, and they have figured out that NPK part, if we can prepare and put into the soil as the important nutrients of plants, then we can cut short of all the other uh, microbial, I mean, world which is important for a plant growth.
Mm.
They said that that is redundant. We'll supply only the NPK elements to the plants, and that will be good enough.
The
So,
micronutrients were not known that time, I think.
not known. I am giving you one interesting data point here. If you take 1 cup of fertile soil,
Mm.
just 1 cup of fertile soil, the amount of lives in terms of microbes into that fertile soil is more than all the living bodies, including human, above the soil. So all the animals, humans, if you club together, if it is, say, X,
Mm.
the number of microbes into 1 cup of fertile soil is more than that X.
Mm.
So think of the world under the soil. If you just ignore, if you just say, hey, that is not important, you are really, really, I mean, making a very dangerous step
Yeah.
to the nature. Nature is not something which would be only an area for human. Nature has created room for everyone,
Yeah. The
including human.
cycle is dependent on those soil bacteria and
We are
microbes.
we are so selfish that we wanted to live in this planet alone,
Mm.
and that's a great, I mean, dangerous. So, I mean, this thought itself is quite dangerous. I mean,
Mm.
planet has created room for everyone. If we try to be so selfish that we will be living here alone,
Mm.
then essentially we are asking a great trouble for ourselves. The
Yeah.
current, for example, the current COVID and pandemic scenario, what has been created is a kind of consequence of that thought that we would be living here alone. It
Right.
cannot be. So essentially, I mean, my point here is that we must give it a uh, thought to create a scenario where we can live in harmony.
Mm.
We can make room for others as well. Even if it is a city, that city a cannot be a residential place for only human.
Mm.
There needs to be a good extent of other natural habitats into this whole place. So we must create room for others as well. We must create scope of greeneries. We must create scope of living bodies which can naturally grow here. So if we allow them also to uh, stay here in a very uh, cohesive manner, in a very synchronized manner, in a very interdependent way, then essentially we are allowing living in harmony. We are allowing the whole biodiversity to take in place. From a food production point of view, the current industrialization concept of food production is more into growing, say, one thing only. Say, if we have a field of paddy, then all along it's just field of paddy. If it's a field of wheat, all along it's a field of wheat. Ah, if it's a, say, farming of poultry birds, then it is only farming of poultry bird. That cannot happen. If it is so, then essentially we are cutting all the interdependence of that living and growing of either a plant or an animal without involvement of others. And in that process, lot of, I mean, poisons and lot of uh, I mean uh, irregularities happen into this whole process. Rather than, if we can think of a scenario where agriculture, horticulture, animal husbandry, pisciculture, all of these can be integrated together, and we as human make a very uh, systematic uh,
হ্যাঁ, সিস্টেমেটিক ইন্টিগ্রেশন অফ দ্য হোল থিং এই জায়গায় ছিলেন। হ্যাঁ, হ্যাঁ,
Okay. Yes. So essentially, from a food production point of view, I mean, I think we should aim for, even in an urban space, can think of uh, this whole integration of agriculture, horticulture, animal husbandry, and pisciculture. If we can allow them to happen in a very synchronized manner, then essentially we are following nature. We are allowing nature to follow its own rule. We as human can just make proper steps so that this synchronization takes place, and maybe we can just add some values in terms of um, how these crop productions can be more economical, how it can be sustainable, how we can manage waste into this whole process so that it is effectively used. We say something as waste when we do not know its
yes,
proper use. But in nature, actually, there is no concept of waste. Waste is in our dictionary when we do not understand how to use it, how to consume it. If we figure out something as unusable, then we term it as waste.
right,
This is also an important point which every human being living in rural areas or in urban areas can just give it a shot that do I know? I mean, is there a way to use it properly? If we can figure out ways to use every piece of stuff, then we are not producing any waste. In even in our food, of course, there are some portions which are not eatable. We just try to get rid of that. We put it in a waste basket and then we throw it as garbage. Our sweepers take it back and dump it somewhere else. But if you do have any interest into, say, gardening, into having some plants in your own home in the balcony, then you can definitely make use of those kitchen waste, the food waste, the vegetable, wastes. All of this you can definitely, use it. That can be used as a fertilizer to the soil, to the plant. So we as human can try to see whatever ways we can make use of this waste. In our concept of integrated farming, this waste management is very important. So farming must be zero waste, backed by zero waste management policy.
yes,
Whatever is the waste, in the concept of farming, that needs to be really consumed in a good extent.
and a farm is sustainable when there is zero input also. There is no input external required into the farm and nothing goes out. Then only it is a completely self-sustaining entity.
When we call it organic farming, by the definition organic means it is, it is, I mean, nothing is, nothing we are taking from outside. It is all within the system. So the system is being followed without any external dependencies. So that's why it is organic.
Right.
Ah, so
But that word itself is highly metamorphosed into various understanding what is organic farming, as if the previous days it was not organic, and finally the dependence of chemicals and destruction of soil biological entities have broken down the biogeochemical cycle in nature. That people have to very consciously understand that how the soil bacteria which are concentrating nitrogen from the atmosphere, though they die and then the soil becomes dead, that unless they understand this, and how human waste or animal waste is converted back to enrich the nitrogen of the soil, they cannot understand the meaning of farming. Even if we grow as urban growers, we grow on the terrace, we do compost our kitchen waste, but it is still not an integrated farm, because the soil is in different pots and the roots of the plants are not connected to each other by the fungi network. They don't talk to each other. They don't, because the soil fungi, they are like friends, the internet of the plants. They share carbon from the roots and they talk to each other. The signals are sent, so it's a beautiful life inside the ground which the plants miss if we do container gardening. But even then, there is another concept that people misunderstand when they are doing their own gardening in whatever place they have in their backyard or in their garden. They weed, they use certain chemicals to weed, and they consider that those weeds are actually harmful, but they are not. They are actually the precursors of nutrients in the soil. That is why they have come up in the right moment, in the right season, to enrich the soil. So this is a very wrong concept that has gone into the minds of common people, who have forgotten the traditional intelligence of the usage of weed for farming. So, do you actually have something that you have? I mean, something which you follow in your farm about weed control and when you should control, when you should not?
see, you have rightly said that weed is something is definitely not harmful. Uh, um, I mean, people can just think that the nutrients part which has been given into the soil, weed is also consuming a portion of that, and which is probably, since weed is not used for your food production, so that is redundant. So that is a mindset. But honestly speaking, when you think of this whole natural farming, natural process of, uh, I mean, food production, then the concept of enemy, the concept of redundancy, the concept of, I mean, not useful stuff, it is, I mean, you have to just get rid of that.
Yes, because
Uh,
they are like associate species. Suppose
yes.
a field of rice is attacked by insects, a swarm of insects. If there are weeds, maybe they will not fully harm the grain. They will go and sit on the wheat plants, and some of your crop will be saved. But if you have completely denuded the weeds, then all your grains will be taken by the insects.
So, for example, I mean, when you, I mean, just take out uh, one crops out of the ground, and then you prepare the next crop portion. Uh, yes, whatever weed has been created and if you say, I mean, if you have the plant and as well as the animal, I mean, husbandry animal part of the food production also in place, then of course there is a requirement of grazing field. So weed always is good for that is useful for your goat, used for cattle, used for other small ruminants, small to big ruminants, etc. And finally, when you prepare soil, when you till soil, weed is automatically get into the soil, and that I mean, finally enrich your soil fertility.
Yes.
So if you think of the topsoil part, so the uh, I mean, just think of a forest again.
Mm.
I mean, who is maintaining forest? Who is giving water into forest? Who is, I mean, preparing the soil for soil forest? Who is deciding what needs to be grown, what needs to be? So it is happening automatically, right? We say automatic, right? Here, forest is an example of automatic production,
Ye-
automatic production of food, automatic production of uh, happening everything in a very seamless manner.
Yes.
This whole interdependence is very much there because we, the human, are not disturbing that.
Right.
When we are disturbing it, then probably we are I mean, creating a lot of issues, lot of problems.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not
So
only plants, animals, insects, reptiles, birds, everyone is taking part in that process of growing in the ecosystem, and that is why it is so enriched, and everyone is doing each other's population control in the forest. So
yeah,
how you are simulating that in the farming environment? I mean, is there anything that you do extra to keep the soil fertility, like crop rotation, and then after that you use the big trees, their leaf litter, for enriching the soil? Like, we cannot make your farm, you cannot make your farm exactly like a forest, but you try to simulate more processes like it happens in the forest, right? Do that.
yeah. So I mean, when we say, I mean, uh, uh, now that we have gone into with so-called green revolution, we have gone into an extent that the whole chemical-led farming has completely taken the uh, mainstream agenda of farming procedure, right? So we all understand the soil fertility has completely gone, and if it is continued for say another few years, then we would be uh, great risk for. Um, I mean, we do not know what will happen to our next generation. Yeah, so it is a very alarming scenario. A lot of important steps has been taken place by United Nations, by different, I mean, country leadership programs. Um, it's a kind of, I mean, we are taking one step ahead towards pro-nature, nature-based, I mean, solutions, ecological-based approach kind of program. But at the same time, there are pressures from other lobbies, chemical lobbies, other industrial lobbies as well, who also wants to continue with their own agenda. So it's a kind of taking one step forward and taking two step backward kind of scenario. So that's the way we are all moving towards. But still, when some of us are uh, moving with our own mission of this organic revolution to taking place, uh, we must inspire people, inspire group to switch to organic mode of farming.
Right.
There is no one uniform avenues of organic farming. Organic farming can happen in multiple different ways, and it depends upon the uh, I mean, uh, locality. It depends upon the people living there. It depends upon the climatic, uh, I mean, situation there, the nature of soil and all those things. So based on that, uh, whatever organic, uh, I mean, program is taking in place, it will require some amount of uh, conversion, uh, I mean, process, conversion program to be in place. And typically, we all know that conversion happens over a period of 2 to 3 years time. But if you follow this 2 to 3 years, I mean, conversion program uh, with uh, with certain uh, steps or tasks which needs to happen in say year one. Then certain steps needs to happen in year two. Then certain steps needs to happen in year three. Uh, like it's a programming part of it. And in that programming part, whatever crops culture needs to I mean take place, whatever crops rotation needs to happen, all of these can be properly designed into this whole conversion program. But once this conversion program is successful, essentially we are maintaining sustainability to this whole ecosystem so that the soil is completely fertile. We do not need to intervene further to increase its soil fertility because we are truly creating an organic environment into this whole process, and we are making it self-reliant, self-sustainable program. So if it happens like that, then you really do not need to worry about the fertility part
In,
at all.
yes.
Okay.
So the food, as you were saying before, also with me when we were talking, the food, the quality, food itself is a medicine, and food itself is nutrients. So the
Yeah.
nutrient guarantee and the value guarantee of the food will automatically be ensured by the fertility of the soil that you were saying.
That is very very true, and it's also an important point. We must remember that. I mean, we see an apple, we see a guava. It should have certain level of nutrients values within it. Yeah. But the particular say guava which we see in the market, does it carry the same level of nutrients? Probably no, because the process which has been followed in growing that guava, in growing that apple, has cut short all the nutrients, I mean, nutrients elements which the plant is expecting.
Hmm.
We have customized its, I mean, progression. We have making it so hybrid in production. We have making it. We have created its whole production process so faster that the proper growth of that fruit probably has not taken place. So its nutrients values is distorted. In case of natural farming, you can be rest assured that that kind of uh, problems or issues will not happen. So when we say food as medicine, I mean, if food is uh, completely enriched with all its nutrients which should be there, then all its medicinal values are being supplied to human. But if it is by its lack of all these nutrient values, then you are not getting the medicinal values. You're
Right.
probably having something, you are filling your stomach, but the essential carbohydrates, fat, proteins, minerals, fibers, which supposed to be there, it is not there.
Yes,
So your
yes.
body is lacking those nutrients. Although you are having an apple, although you are having some, I mean, other food products like cereals or uh, fish and meat and everything.
And there are the fungi and the plant vascular plant relationship is they have so co-evolved that a particular fungi is there to fetch a particular type of nutrient from the soil. So if that
Exactly.
fungi is surviving in the soil, then only the plant gets that nutrient. If the fungi is dead, then you don't get. So that is how the cohabitation and cooperation is there in the soil environment.
Mhm.
Actually, this is what the topic is so huge, but in the minds of our children we want to create this correlation, the points of joints where the plant is joined with the insect is joined with the bird, and bird is joined with the seed dispersal. So all these things are so important to be ingrained in the children's mind, because food comes much later. Before that, the environment comes, the ecosystem comes, like a lily pond ecosystem which we so naturally see in front of us in a monsoon time. The cranes come, the frogs come, the snakes come, then the nymphs, which are dragonfly nymphs, they are visible. They are eating the mosquito, so it itself is what is should be learned that way. So I would always want to cooperate with you as a school, as a provider of natural education. If children can come and visit your farm sometime and have a understanding that how difficult it is to grow food, and it is, and the people who are growing food, they may not be formally educated in the western form of education, but they are not illiterate. They have the highest level of qualities and sensitivities to nurture a field, to nurture the vegetables and soil. So would you like to show us a glimpse of your farm, so that I know I have the video with me, so with your permission can I share it with people so that they also get a glimpse of the integration so far that you have been able to do, and also that you have an outlet where people can try your produce if they want to. So I want to even share that how you cater to people who are asking for good well grown food. So will I share your video?
Certainly. In fact, you and your students, families, all are welcome to our farm. Uh, the only important aspect to to realize, and if it is if it uh, if we talk about any takeaways out of spending a day in the farm, should be few things like how to live in harmony, how to I mean mm, how to appreciate the whole plant and animal ecosystem,
With
to
integration
to
with nature.
to to be there in a very sustainable manner. So living in a harmony is an important uh, thought in our own mindset. Hmm. If we can imbibe that within ourselves, then essentially we are making ourselves, I mean, much purer in thoughts and in uh, style. So yes, always welcome. Yes, you can definitely, I mean, uh, take all of us with that journey of our farm, just to share a glimpse of how things are happening there.
Yes,
Yeah.
and we are trying to bring in the curriculum as well things like preparing seed balls, learning to simple composting at home. So these should be basic practices that The school has to propagate in the homes. And when in the earlier times when we were young, the boys and girls, we used to play with a lot of animals and frogs and insects. But nowadays we are over conscious, parents are over conscious, over hygienic, they don't want to the children to interact and learn. But best way to learn is to learn from nature, and that is where the farms are coming in action.
See, I mean, again, through that industrialization of farming and agriculture, a few dangerous thoughts we have created within ourselves. Like we have, I mean, we started thinking of every insect as foes, as enemies, as dangerous part. But believe me, uh, I mean, more than 80% to 90% insects are good insects. They are friends. Only certain, I mean, insects, certain, I mean, I mean, elements would be harmful. But then there are other insects also which can destroy those harmful insects. Since it's a food web, so uh, in a, I mean, that those 80% to 90% good insects can take care of, uh, I mean, by just eating other, I mean, harmful insects, etc. So nothing to worry about as such. But unfortunately, we have created certain, I mean, just out of fear, we have thought everyone is harmful, everyone is dangerous.
Exactly. One good example was in our school, we had ants, ant colonies, and we had termites. And everyone was afraid, why you are not killing the ants in the garden where children come to play? We said, there are ants and there are termites. So they kind of kill each other and they limit themselves. So we have nothing to
Yes.
worry about. Yes. So
So,
let me share before ending. Let me share you video of the farm, and I will share in the contact how people can reach out to you to get your produce.
sure.
Welcoming to the land of organic and natural living. Welcoming to the land of TONA. At TONA, we are moving with three foundation principles. The first one, zero tolerance to the farming practices that is unhealthy to our Mother Earth. The next one, farmers as the stakeholders of our ecosystem. And the third one, safe food for everyone. Since 2003, the organic and natural farming, what we are following, we call it as integrated farming. Everything which is driving the animal and plant ecosystem in nature, we are just absolutely following that. Typically, the conventional farming which is followed in general is driven by chemical farming, whereas the The organic and natural farming is a combination of agriculture, horticulture, animal farming, and pisciculture. When we have combined all of those at our farm, we say it as integrated farming. The way we have integrated it within the farm, as well as the way we have integrated the farmers within the villages surrounding this farm, has given us the strength to produce organic and natural food products at a very affordable price to the market. Farmers, who are the integral part of our ecosystem, are producing the crops, the vegetables, the fruits, the fishes, the chicken, lamb, goat, even at their own campuses, are all organically reared following our model. That's why they are the stakeholders of the farm. Even this farm is built on a small land, which is a model of integrated farming, but it is not producing the whole range of food products which we are offering into the market. All the farmers who are our stakeholders are producing the products, and the entire processing happens at TONA, be it oil production from mustard, be it rice from paddy, be it atta from wheat, or various other pulse, spices, and whole range of sauce, jam, jelly, pickle, juices. All are being produced with utmost quality, giving the treasures of nature intact, packed at a very authenticated manner, and served to you.
টোনা গ্রামটাকে জৈব গ্রাম, অর্গানিক গ্রাম তৈরি করেছি। আপনারা দেখেছেন চাষিরা মাঠে কিভাবে চাষ করছে, অর্থাৎ বিঘেতে একটা গরু রেখে তার চাষ হচ্ছে। বিঘেতে একটা গরু রাখার অর্থ হচ্ছে নিজের গোবর সারটা এবং গরুর যে চোনাটা সেইটা দিয়ে পুরোপুরি অর্গানিকভাবে এই চাষটা হচ্ছে। এই চাষের যে ফসলগুলো সেগুলো আমরা এই নানা রকম প্রসেসিং ইউনিটে আমরা এগুলোকে প্রসেস করছি, এবং যখন একটা অর্গানিক চাষ হচ্ছে সেটাকে বলা হয় গুড কাল্টিভেশন প্র্যাকটিস। এবার গুড প্রসেসিং প্র্যাকটিস যদি আমি না করি তাহলে সেটা অর্গানিক বলা যাবে না। গুড প্রসেসিং মানে কি? মানে আমি কোনো রকম এই প্রসেসিংয়ের সঙ্গে কোনো রং, আর্টিফিশিয়াল কালার এবং কোনো ইমালসিফাইং এজেন্ট, অর্থাৎ দুটো সলিউশনকে যেটা এক করে দিতে পারে, এই রকম কোনো কিছু আমরা মেশাবো না। প্রসেসিং এর সময় কেমিক্যাল এজেন্টগুলো যদি আমরা না মেশাই তাহলেই আমাদের বলতে হবে যে সেটা গুড প্রসেসিং প্র্যাকটিস হচ্ছে।
We want to disrupt the organic food market with our methods. Our method is very simple. We go to a village, we do not take over any lands, we set up a small processing unit inside the village, then we convince the villagers to transform their practices from inorganic to organic methods, and then we buy their raw produce at rates which is much higher than what they get paid in the market. This helps us to transform the village life, this helps us to save Mother Earth because our practices do not destroy Mother Earth. This helps us to get food in your plate which is authentic, pure and nutrient rich.
When it comes to organic and natural food, it comes with a hefty price which we normally see in our open market. The hype market food products ask for a huge money which perhaps not affordable to many of us. At TONA, we believe organic for all at affordable price. The focus is absolutely using everything. There is no concept of waste. It's a zero waste technology which we are following. The overall control of input cost helps us to keep the overall production cost at a very low level, which helps us to keep the price at a minimum possible level to our consumer. That drives the affordability to the mass.
Thanks for your presentation. It was beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you.
And it is such a short notice that you came and you enlightened our viewers, our parents mainly, whom we wanted to sensitize about food and how difficult it is to grow food, for which we have to maintain healthy soils, natural ecosystems, water bodies, and mainly forests. Forests are the giver of all the things we have as civilization. So I really thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I will communicate this video to all my parents who are interacting with us in the page. Thank you so much.
Yes, the subject is so big that probably we can spend hours and hours
Yes,
in this topic.
happens over years.
Uh,
You children have to get to the crux of it, and this is just a beginning. Maybe we will introduce a garden curriculum where we bring in all those stuff where they directly do things in small scale in their homes, and they do a little bit in your farm when they go and visit. So maybe there is alternative learning possible here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Bye bye.
Bye.